Stephen, Amazon Web Services has contributed their Edge Gateway base station specification to the Open Compute project. The gateway utilizes Sonic and Dent from the Linux Foundation to bridge the gap between the cloud and the edge, including OCP's Open Edge servers. Now I have to ask the question, Stephen, because you're heavily involved in both cloud and edge. Does this kind of blur those lines now?
Well, it's interesting because the E word can mean many things, as we're discussing at Edge Field Day. And let me just take a moment here. We're actually launching our Utilizing Edge podcast on Monday. Check for that in your favorite podcast application. I will say we've actually recorded quite a few episodes already, and this is something that comes up again and again. Essentially, the question is, what is edge? What does edge mean to you? What's the difference between various edges? This unified edge gateway absolutely is a valuable solution in certain edge situations, but it actually is completely irrelevant in other edge situations. So let me explain. First off, this is contributed by Amazon Web Services. So obviously this thing was designed to work with Amazon's edge use case, which is what might be called a micro data center approach, where you basically have a lot of hardware, you've got a lot of space, you've got power, cooling, rack, infrastructure, that sort of thing. And that's what this server is built for. Essentially, it is a specialized network appliance device server that sits in an edge environment and connects that edge to the cloud. So in that case, yes, absolutely, this is indeed blurring the lines. And the server is actually pretty nice, just like the OCP servers that we've seen for running applications. This edge server has a lot of great hardware and a lot of great thinking built into it. And it's designed to be compatible, as you mentioned, with network operating systems like Sonic or Dent. And it's got a lot of support from OEMs and ODMs, including companies that you may have heard of, like EdgeCore, which we've been looking into, Celestica as well, Extreme Networks, which is another company that we know very well. These companies are basically going to use this concept, just like the OCP server has been really exploited in a positive way by the industry outside the hyperscalers. And I think that we're going to see a lot more, systems that look an awful lot like the Edge Gateway-based specification from OCP. Now, that being said, this server is not for everyone. As I said, it's a rack mount server. It's got redundant power supplies. It's got a lot of technology in it. Many edge use cases, for example, retail edge, a lot of industrial IoT settings, mobile and otherworldly edge is some of the things we've talked about on the Utilizing Edge podcast. They wouldn't be applicable. This wouldn't be applicable to them. And there are other hardware platforms that they're looking at exploiting, including some of the companies that presented our Edge Field Day event recently. But that being said, I think that it's really great to see Amazon contributing their hard work and their hard thought on what makes a great edge gateway to the world through the OCP. And as I said as well, I think that this thing is going to see some traction in enterprise edge, in micro data center, and in areas where we need a new kind of scalable server.